Everyone, Oli here, and this is my review of The Tomb of the Cybermen, the first story of the fifth season of classic Doctor Who, starring Patrick Troughton as the second Doctor. This story is also the 37th story overall. It's 4 episodes long and is written by Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis. So, for the first time since the War Machines back at the end of season 3, all episodes exist, and this is the first time in the Troughton era that this has actually happened. So we get to watch this story in its entirety without any animations or recons of any kind. Although the story was actually once missing, it was actually found in Hong Kong in 1991 and later returned to the BBC archives a year later. So the plot of the Tomb of the Cybermen is as follows. For centuries, the disappearance of the Cybermen from the universe has been a mystery. The Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria arrive on Telos. Once the cyber homeworld, just as Earth expedition uncovers the entrance to a long lost control center filled with baffling technology. With the Doctor's help, the archaeological party discovers the last of the Cybermen, frozen and entombed in a vast underground cavern. By entering the tombs, the humans have sprung upon a fiendish trap. All around them, the Cybermen begin to rise from the dead. So, the Tomb of the Cybermen. Another outstanding Doctor Who story. This is actually my favorite Cyberman story of all Doctor Who and one of my ultimate favorite Doctor Who stories overall. It's very entertaining also. And let's talk about the fabulous production. I mean, I must say the script was really good. The sets were awesome, including the place where the Cybermen's tomb was. And the plot was very creative as well. I mean, merging Cybermen with themes of Egypt, such as an archaeological team coming to find like a tomb or something, and then all this crazy stuff goes down, which leads to pretty much almost everyone dying, and it was very unique because I mean the direction by Morris Barry was really good. There were some good moments as well, such as the Cybermen emerging from their tombs. That scene was breathtaking, and the visuals are stunning, even for a story made in 1967. And I must say, I'm happy that this story actually is no longer missing. So Space Adventure Part 2 makes a return, and the reason why I love this piece of music is because of the scene with the Cybermen are coming out of their tombs, and I really love the cliffhangers, especially the ones for episode 1 when I think it was a Cyberman dummy actually came and was armed and actually shot Callum, or was it Callum? Or one of the guys that was no Callum survived, didn't he? Yeah, shot one of the Cyberman guys that was there, and then sorry, one of the guys that was there, and then everyone was just looking around, seeing what was going on. And episode 2 was when Doctor, Jamie, and Co were pretty much in the Cybermen's tomb when the Cybermen actually attacked Klieg, and then the Cyber controller was like, "You shall become like us. You will be like us," and then it just ends with a close up of the Cyber controller's face, and Lord, that was scary as hell. Now, onto the acting. I would say that this is probably one of the best acting in the classic Who ever. Troughton was incredible and he has some great moments. For instance, when Klieg was confronting him in episode 4 in the tomb area and the Doctor was taunting Klieg by saying, "People will serve Klieg the powerful, nobody would dare," and Klieg was actually agreeing with what the Doctor was saying, and then the Doctor was like, now I know that you're mad, and I just wanted to make sure, and then I really loved that. And I really loved the sass that the two had, and it actually showed that two actually fears no one. Or anyone human. Anyways, and also, the second Doctor's manipulative side does actually make an appearance, and it is argued that he did actually cause most of the plot's conflict by opening the tomb doors and allowing Klieg and Captain to do whatever, which leads to the death of themselves and other characters as well. I mean, people actually do criticize this story because of the Doctor's actions here, but I actually think this is what makes his character more interesting and makes him a bit darker in contrast to the silly space hobo we saw in Charlton's earlier stories. And I don't think we even saw any manipulation to this extent in his other stories as well. So, the companions, who Jamie and Victoria, coming on from the Evil of the Daleks, they were really good here, and I would say Victoria really impressed me here. Yes, even though she does have a tendency to scream a lot, but she does impress, and I kind of like the mini plot she sort of had. I mean, they actually did despite the craziness of the plot, Kip Hedler and Jerry Davis were able to find some time to have Victoria like develop, considering the fact that she's literally from the Victorian times and obviously coming from the Dalek, from being held hostage by the Daleks and of Daleks killing her dad. And obviously she has to come aboard the TARDIS because she has nowhere to go, and she just found it very strange. And actually, we do see parts of that, and that was really good as well. And she was still really traumatized from that bit. And I like the opening scene of this story when it actually leads from the evil of the Daleks when the Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria just entering the TARDIS, and this is Victoria's. Oh, it's bigger on the inside than the outside scene, and it was quite good. And you can see how vulnerable she was there, and obviously. And I actually loved the bit when the doctor revealed he was 450 years old and Jimmy and Victoria were bewildered and and I think she did find it amusing about what the TARDIS can do by traveling in time and space, even though she did time travel in the bit, well, thanks to the Daleks' time corridor, but she does get over it though. I mean, another scene I really adore in this story was the bit of dialogue her and the Doctor have about how and the Doctor's just checking up on Victoria, how she's getting on with the troubles, and despite the madness that was going on, I really liked how the Doctor was able to find time and check up on Victoria and see how she's doing, and I really liked the bit when Victoria was like, the Doctor was like telling Victoria about how she shouldn't worry about her family and stuff like that, because even the Victoria did actually ask the Doctor, do you still think of your family or stuff like that? And the Doctor was like, oh, I actually remember my family, they sleep in my mind, and when I sleep, when I close my eyes, they're in the back of my mind, and then in the rest of my mind, I don't really think about them too much, and it was a very beautiful scene, and I wouldn't say that is actually one of the best scenes of that story, and it was this beautiful scene, very well acted by Deborah Watling and Patrick Charlton, and Victoria, as I mentioned before, she does have some during her tenure in the TARDIS. She does have some epic moments, and one of them was using a handgun to shoot a Cybermen. And obviously, handguns weren't exactly a thing in the Victorian era. I think they had like muskets and something like that. She was able to like operate and shoot the Cybermen after Captain was like unconscious because the Cybermen actually bit her, and she was like, she got the gun and she actually shot him. That was pretty cool. Jamie was okay. I mean, he doesn't do a whole lot in the story, but he does add to the plot in some bits. I mean, I like the part in episode 1 where he and the Doctor were about to hold Victoria's hand, but they actually end up holding each other's hand. And then they quickly, quickly just removed after realized they were holding each other's hands, and Victoria was actually at the back, like just watching them. And that was a scene that was actually not in the script. So Patrick Troughton and Fraser Hines actually ad-libbed it themselves. So on to the side characters. They were all good. I mean, I like John Viner. He was quite good, and it's a shame he died in episode 3. I never really cared for the American Captain Hopper, but I liked how Victoria sassed him after he was being a bit protective over her. He was saying, "Oh, this is no job for women" and stuff like that. And minus the actor's dodgy American accent, no, but it was still pretty good. I mean, I like Professor Perry, and he was a good character. It was a good thing he actually survived. And it was good. And Toberman was good, even though his inclusion of the character does have some racial undertones. For example, having him as this big, strong, mute black guy serving Clegg Captain, or mainly Captain, and Captain often referring to him as, "I'm not letting you treat my servant like this" and stuff like that. And considering the fact he does actually help resolve the story, he does have a good scene. He does actually have two good scenes and I think when the Cybermen were actually attacking Toberman, and that's when they kind of convert him into a Cyberman. And the second part, when the Doctor actually convinces Toberman that the Cybermen are evil, and Toberman actually destroys one of the Cybermen's chest units and carries the Cyber controller and flings him and just carried him and just threw him across the room as if he was just nothing. Nothing and towards the end of the story. Now on to the Cybermen themselves. I mean, I would go on to say this, and this is probably a very unpopular opinion, but I think this is the best Cybermen have been written here, and I don't think there's any Cyberman story, possibly except the Invasion and Earthshock, that have been able to at least match up to the greatness of this story. And another unpopular opinion, I don't think there's been any Cyberman story in New Who that has been able to at least match up to the greatness of Tomb of the Cybermen, or even other classic Who Cyberman stories. That's my bit out there. I mean, they were really scary, and I don't really scare easily. I mean, the part where Jamie is caught by his Cyberman, and the Cyberman just shoots him through its fingers. That actually freaked me out, and I was like, wow. And I actually like the scene where they're all coming out of their tombs, and then they were all like standing, they're all standing like side to side, and then the the cyber controller was like sitting like on the lower part of the tomb area, and he's like squatting like this, and you actually see him coming out slowly, and obviously that's when he attacks Klieg, and then he says, "You shall become like us, you will be like us." But I mean, and I like the cyber controller. He was creepy as hell, especially as I mentioned earlier before in this episode 2 cliffhanger. And I think this is the same cyber controller that actually appears in Attack of the Cybermen, which kind of acts as a sequel, direct-ish sequel to this story, and even the 10th Planet, because at the time, the 10th Planet there's even some plot holes there. But when I get to Attack of the Cybermen now, and when I read up a little bit more on it, I'll explain it, because there was a bit of a plot hole, because due to the fact around the time Attack of the Cybermen came out in the 1985, Tomb of the Cybermen and the 10th Tomb of the Cybermen was still missing. So now on to the Cybermats. This is the first appearance of the Cybermats, and they don't really appear as often as they do with the Cybermen. I think they appear in the Reland space. They were supposed to have appeared in the Invasion, and the last we see of them was in Revenge of the Cybermen, and after that we don't see them again until the 11th Doctor story Closing Time, and that is in 2011. And I mean, they were quite good here. I mean, they were quite creepy as hell. The way they're just quickly moving as if they were mice or something like that. But the constant beeping, it was a little bit annoying at first. But yeah. So I can't really find any faults with Tomb of the Cybermen, but it's absolutely perfect. So I'll be giving the story a perfect 10 out of 10, ladies and gents. And this is actually probably one of the few occasions where two stories in the row are 10 out of 10, such as Eve of the Daleks, which I rated 10 out of 10 before, and this story which I've given another 10 out of 10. So my next Doctor Who review will be The Abominable Snowman, the first appearance of an underappreciated character, the first appearance of an iconic monster, and the first appearance of an important Doctor Who villain important villain in Doctor Who history, well, for Series 7 anyways. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked this review. Tell me what you thought of this story and this review, and until then, see you later guys.